This is the Agribusiness Report. I'm Tony St. James, and today we're joined by Tim Luss. Tim is CEO, National Sorghum Producers. Hey, Tim, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you, Tony.
All right. Again, Tim, celebrating, I'm trying to remember how many years with, of course, NSP is one thing, but the National Grain Sorghum. Before that, how long have you been with the association?
I don't remember, Tony. 32 years, I believe.
Well, all I know is that over 32 years, you've had the opportunity to see a lot of different things. I was going through some old notes, and I believe it dates back to 2018. I'll check my notes here. Yeah, April 17th of 2018. I wrote a story about something that happened with China that really affected the sorghum industry. It seems like that was a million years ago, but do we still have some of the ramifications from what started that trade war?
Well, certainly when you look back at 2025 and really up until mid-November, we had kind of had a similar situation where we had just seen no sales to China, and then the last 60 days been quite impressive. Obviously, today announced of a flash sale of 5 boats, 302,000 metric tons. Last week we had 9 boats that were sold, and when we look at the last 60 days, we've had 3 million metric tons of exports announced in the last 60 days. So certainly see a very strong pull. This, 2 recent sales last week and this week are unknown, but certainly assume that those are China sales. Certainly they became a very strong buyer again recently.
Okay. My numbers, I hope I'm close here. If you convert that over to bushels, somewhere around 12 million bushels. So when we talk about this 2025 crop, we have plenty of supply, do we not?
We do. Had a really good crop, increase in acres, increase in harvested acres. And for us, about a 27% bigger crop than a year ago. And so certainly have bushels, have very strong demand from our domestic ethanol industry as well. And pull there, but no, certainly still have a lot of bushels, and so we need to be able to see it to move to markets, and excited that it is.
So I know it may sound a little too soon to be jumping into 2026 and the 2026 growing season, but I bet a lot of those decisions, if they haven't been made, will be made very soon. Any thoughts as we start rolling into 2026 for the U.S. sorghum industry?
Well, I think that we needed the export sales. We've needed the last 2 weeks. We've needed to be able to show that we're moving large quantities of sorghum and moving it because certainly there were concerns there. I think the good thing about sorghum is while there are a lot of decisions made early, switching back and forth between summer crops, you have a little bit more time to do that. And so I think, we need to see the market signals, and we need to see the price increases and basis firm up here on sorghum. But certainly this is a very good start to moving us back to a more healthy position.
When we talk about other crops like corn or cotton or soybeans, we think of some export competition that we have. When it comes to sorghum, are we starting to see some competition come from some other countries? And if so, what does the landscape look like for competing for business around the globe?
We've competed with Australia and Argentina for a number of years in the export markets, and so that's something that's pretty consistent, and we kind of know what that looks like. Obviously, the big unknown for everybody is Brazil. We have seen very small amounts of sorghum come out of Brazil, but certainly there's talk, and certainly we understand what's happened with all of the other commodities that you just mentioned in terms of that. So, that's the future competition. That's the one that they'll, people will be looking at over the next several years to see what that really looks like or means.
Okay. And as we look at those crops that I talked about, I think it's important to note that everybody's been growing the cost, the value of the crop, what we see in the market price is below the cost of production. Let me spit that out there. That's been a challenge, obviously, for producers of sorghum. Will the bridge payments help out? What are your thoughts on that?
They will. In our case, $48.11 an acre on sorghum. And I think the other side of that is a mechanism and a process where hopefully they do get it out the door here in the next 40 days and are able to get it to farmers to really bridge. I mean, we've got farmers in South Texas that are planting in less than 40 days. So from our standpoint, real necessity, not only for the dollars, but to get them out quickly. In a perfect world, you do things a little bit different, but it's never quite a perfect world. Certainly continued discussions about what else may come there or what else may look like. But certainly bridge payments were something that needed to get announced when they did, and they need to get cash flow into the country here over the next 40 days, and that will be very important for our growers.
All right, Tim, I've driven the bus around. It's been kind of a rough road as I ask questions here. So I'm going to step back and say, looking out, what else do you see on the horizon? What's in front of us through the windshield? What do we need to keep an eye on as far as in the periphery as well? Help me out here.
Well, unfortunately, we're back talking about E15 once again. So another colossal missed opportunity to support an American first domestic industry that's adding value. And so I'm very frustrated about that situation. By the same token, now that there's a study committee, now that there's a process, we just jump back in again. We keep pushing, we keep fighting. We're not going to quit. We're not going to go away, and we'll get E15 done. But it has certainly been one of the most frustrating issues of my career in terms of all of the roadblocks and challenges and the things and the number of times where it is appeared that it was a done deal, not to make it across the finish line. So that will be our big focus, is continuing to push on E15.
Great to see you, Tim. If we want to keep up with the National Sorghum Producers, can we do that online?
Sorghumgrowers.com. Get you everything you need.
And don't forget, coming up, Commodity Classic as well. Sorghum, a big part of that. Tim Lust is the CEO of the National Sorghum Producers and joins us on today's Agribusiness Report.